As Alina's shuttle returns to Earth, the weight of first contact presses against her chest, like a physical force. The Temunitu ultimatum plays on repeat in her mind. 1 month to prepare for a battle humanity cannot hope to win. She watches Earth grow larger through the viewport, blue and peaceful, oblivious to the death sentence hanging above it. Her neural implant chimes with an incoming priority transmission. Admiral Kostova, her direct superior and mentor, appears as a flickering hologram beside her seat. The Security Council is assembling. Kostova says, her weathered face grave. They're calling it the Survival Summit. You'll brief them directly. They won't believe me, Alina replies, her hand unconsciously touching the data crystal containing her sensor logs and neural recordings of the Temunitu encounter. Make them believe, Captain. I've seen your service record, Afghanistan, the Lunar Rebellion. You've faced impossible odds before. Alina almost laughs. With respect, Admiral, this is different. The Temunitu have conquered thousands of worlds. Their technology is beyond our comprehension. And yet they offered challenge instead of immediate conquest. Kostova muses. That's the detail that interests me most. Why bother with ritual when they could simply obliterate us? The question lingers as Alina's shuttle enters Earth's atmosphere. Friction flames licking the hull. Something about the Temunitu's rigid adherence to their challenge protocol nags at her tactical mind. A potential weakness hidden within their overwhelming strength. The Survival Summit convenes in the underground chambers beneath Geneva, a facility designed to withstand nuclear attack, but certainly not the weapons Alina witnessed. 73 world leaders gather in person, the remaining connected via secure quantum channels. The room buzzes with fearful speculation until Alina steps to the central podium. 36 hours ago, my ship encountered an alien fleet at the edge of our solar system. She begins, her voice steady despite her racing heart. They call themselves the Temunitu. She transfers her neural recordings to the chamber's holographic system. The vast room dims as the alien high commander materializes above the assembly. Chitinous exoskeleton gleaming like polished obsidian, compound eyes reflecting a kaleidoscope of conquered worlds. Gasps echo through the chamber. This is Zorthalax, Alina continues, Supreme Commander of the 17-galaxy Temunitu Dominion. She plays the telepathic message, carefully filtered to avoid the neural trauma her communications officer suffered. The assembled leaders watch in stunned silence as visions of planetary destruction and methodical conquest unfold before them. They've given us 1 month before the challenge, a ritual combat that determines whether we become their subjects or another extinct species in their archive. Alina concludes, their technology outclasses ours by centuries, possibly millennia. The Chinese premier stands first. Then diplomatic negotiation is our only option. They don't negotiate, Alina replies. They conquer. Perhaps surrender terms, begins another leader. There are no terms, Alina cuts in, bringing up additional footage. These are the Arcturus beings. They surrendered immediately. The hologram shows humanoid creatures laboring in vast mining operations, neural control devices fused to their spines. This is their reward. The chamber erupts in panicked crosstalk. Alina waits for it to subside, studying the faces around her. Some show resignation, others denial. A few, too few, display the calculating look of minds already seeking solutions. The American president approaches the podium. Captain Rice, you faced them directly. In your professional assessment, do we have any chance at all? Alina weighs her words carefully. Outside the hardened facility, summer sunlight bathes Geneva in golden light that may not shine much longer. She thinks of her brother's children playing in Madrid, unaware their future hangs by the thinnest thread. The Temunitu have never lost a challenge, she says finally, but they've never faced humans before. Their perfection is their pattern, and we are anything but predictable. She brings up star charts showing the Temunitu's conquest path through nearby galaxies. Look at their battle history. Every conquest follows the same protocol, the same strategies, the same formations. They've mastered war but forgotten adaptation. They expect us to fight logically, conventionally. A slow smile forms on Elena's face as the seed of an idea, a dangerous, desperate idea, takes root. And that, she says quietly, may be the one advantage we need. Dr. Akira Tanaka slumps back in his chair as the holographic cellular simulation collapses for the third time. The Temunitu biological sample, retrieved from residue left on the Intrepid's hull, defies conventional analysis. His lab at the International Xenobiology Center in Kyoto hasn't emptied in days. Researchers catch sleep in shifts as the world's countdown continues. The cellular structure is changing, his assistant, Dr. Maya Lin, observes, adjusting the quantum microscope. It's like it knows we're watching. Akira nods grimly. Adaptive biological encryption. Their very cells are programmed to obscure their function from outside observers. He steps to the window overlooking Kyoto's ancient temples juxtaposed against the city's gleaming skyline. 3 Temunitu scout ships hang in the stratosphere above Japan, visible as ominous dark specks against the blue sky, silent observers placed over major population centers worldwide, a reminder of humanity's new reality. We need a different approach, he mutters. These cells want order. Let's give them chaos. He returns to the sample chamber and makes a surprising adjustment, introducing random electromagnetic pulses to the containment field. The cellular structure begins oscillating wildly. What are you doing? Maya asks, alarmed. Testing a theory. Akira increases the randomness of the pulses. The cells respond by trying to reorganize into their perfect geometric patterns, but each random pulse forces them to restart the process. Within minutes, the sample destabilizes completely. They can't adapt to true randomness, Akira whispers. Their biological programming requires predictable conditions to maintain homeostasis. His secure terminal chimes with an incoming transmission from Geneva. Captain Rice requesting an update. Akira sends his preliminary findings with a hastily typed note. Their greatest strength may be their greatest weakness. They require order to function. Elena receives Akira's transmission while navigating the political minefield of United Earth Defense Headquarters. The facility buzzes with frantic activity. Military strategists from former rival nations working side by side, united by existential threat. She approaches the central planning table where Admiral Harrison directs the positioning of Earth's meager defensive assets. The holographic display shows the solar system with Temunitu positions marked in red, a web of surveillance and power that makes conventional military victory impossible. Captain Rice, Harrison acknowledges without looking up. Here to tell me more about how we can't win conventionally. I'm here with Dr. Tanaka's latest findings, she replies, transferring the data to the main display. The Temunitu biology suggests a critical vulnerability. Harrison studies the information, his weathered face betraying nothing. Interesting scientific curiosity, but hardly actionable intelligence. We need ships, weapons, not theories about alien cellular structure. With respect, sir, we need both. Elena brings up her own analysis. Every conquered species in the Temunitu records fought according to recognizable military doctrine. They all lost because the Temunitu have perfected counters to every logical strategy. And you suggest we fight illogically? Harrison scoffs. That's not a military strategy, Captain. Isn't it? Elena challenges. Guerrilla warfare, asymmetric conflicts, psychological operations. Human military history is full of victories that defied conventional logic. Before Harrison can respond, the facility's alarms blare. The tactical display shows a Temunitu vessel breaking from its observation position, accelerating toward the asteroid belt. They're moving on Cirrus Colony, reports a tactical officer. Harrison barks orders for intercept vessels, but Elena studies the Temunitu ship's trajectory with growing suspicion. Sir, this doesn't match their established patterns. Every previous action has been calculated, deliberate. Maybe they've decided not to wait a month after all, Harrison growls. No, Alina counters. They're testing us, watching how we respond to an unexpected threat. She points to the defensive formation Harrison has ordered. If we react predictably, exactly as military doctrine dictates, we're playing into their analysis. Harrison hesitates, torn between protocol and Alina's insight. What do you suggest instead? Something they won't anticipate. Alina quickly outlines a counterintuitive response, leaving Ceres seemingly undefended while secretly evacuating its population, setting up sensor ghosts to simulate continued human presence. Let them think we've abandoned an outpost out of fear, she explains. Feed them false data about our response capabilities. You're suggesting we deliberately sacrifice strategic position to mislead them. Harrison looks incredulous. I'm suggesting we start thinking beyond the constraints of traditional military response, Alina replies. The Temunitu expect us to value strategic assets in predictable ways. Let's show them humans don't follow the expected script. After a tense moment, Harrison nods curtly. Implement Captain Reyes' recommendation. Let's see how these aliens respond to a bit of human unpredictability. Diego Mendoza traces a finger along the jagged scar running from his temple to jaw, a permanent reminder of the water wars that devastated South America a decade earlier. Through his cabin's reinforced windows, the Patagonian mountains stand silent and indifferent to the alien threat looming above Earth's atmosphere. The military stripped your citizenship, Alina says, sliding the tablet with Temunitu battle formations across the weather table. But Earth isn't just governments, it's every human being. Diego studies the holographic display with practiced eyes. These formations are too perfect. During the water wars, we faced Brazilian drones with superior targeting systems. We defeated them with smoke grenades and reflective chaff. Crude, but it confused their sensors because they were calibrated for efficiency, not adaptability. That's exactly what we need. Alina leans forward. Not military doctrine, but guerrilla innovation. Diego looks up, dark eyes calculating. Why me? There are others who fought in the water wars. Because you won when you shouldn't have, Alina replies simply. And because you understand that sometimes survival requires abandoning conventional thinking entirely. Hours later, Diego's secure terminal alerts him to an incoming transmission. Source unknown. Encryption beyond military grade. A woman's face materializes in his holographic display. Diego Mendoza, Captain Rice, speaks highly of your unorthodox approach to warfare. The woman adjusts her glasses. I'm Dr. Samira Khan, quantum physicist. Or I was, until the scientific community decided my theories on disrupting hive mind communications were impossible. Diego's expression remains neutral. And now? Now the impossible is orbiting our planet. Samira's image is replaced by complex equations and schematics. My quantum entanglement disruptors were designed to break coordinate swarm intelligence, like those used in advanced drone networks. The Temunitu telepathic field operates on similar principles, just vastly more sophisticated. You believe you can disrupt alien telepathy with a theoretical device that's never been built. Diego asks skeptically. I believe, Samira counters, that conventional physics says we can't. But conventional physics also said the Temunitu method of faster-than-light travel was impossible, yet here they are. Before Diego can respond, another signal intrudes, a young Asian man with a shaved head and neural interface ports visible at his temples. Fascinating conversation. The newcomer interjects. Mind if I join? Who the hell are you? Diego demands. Wei Chen, AI architect, former Defense Department contractor until they decided my algorithms were too unpredictable for military applications. Wei's smile doesn't reach his eyes. I've been monitoring your communications. Captain Rice is assembling quite the team of outcasts. You hacked a military-grade encrypted channel. Samira looks both impressed and concerned. The encryption was predictable. Wei shrugs. Just like the Temunitu battle strategies. Alina steps into view of Diego's camera. I didn't plan this convergence quite so soon, but since we're all here, humanity needs people who think beyond established parameters. The Temunitu have conquered thousands of worlds by exploiting the predictability of conventional warfare. So what exactly are you proposing? Diego asks. Operation Pandemonium. Elena replies. A battle strategy designed to introduce maximum unpredictability into a conflict where we're technologically outmatched. She outlines the conceptual framework. Earth's conventional forces would engage as expected, while their small team implements targeted chaos, random attacks, false retreats, communications disruption, and decentralized command structures that make human forces appear disorganized yet devastatingly effective. The Temunitu expect a logical defense focused on protecting population centers and strategic assets. Elena explains. What if instead we make seemingly irrational sacrifices that position us for devastating counterattacks? You're proposing we deliberately appear incompetent, Y realizes, while actually executing precisely calculated chaos. Military command will never approve this, Diego warns. It contradicts every principle of strategic warfare. They don't need to approve what they don't officially know about. Elena counters. Admiral Kostova has authorized a special contingency operation with minimal oversight. We'll operate parallel to the conventional defense. The conversation continues late into the night. Four minds from vastly different backgrounds converging on a strategy so unconventional it borders on madness. Yet as they refine the concept, a fragile hope emerges. Perhaps humanity's chaotic, adaptable nature might be the one thing the perfectly ordered Temunitu cannot comprehend or counter. There's a phrase from ancient warfare. Diego muses as dawn breaks over the mountains. Fortune favors the bold. In this case, fortune may favor the unpredictable. The abandoned lunar mining facility, Helios Station, stands as a monument to humanity's previous ambitions before the Temunitu arrival reordered global priorities. Elena's team has transformed its cavernous main chamber into a chaotic war room, with holographic displays showing real-time Temunitu movements and simulations of Operation Pandemonium running continuously on quantum processors. Dr. Khan kneels beside her prototype quantum disruptor, making microscopic adjustments to its entanglement matrix. The device hums with unstable energy, occasionally emitting blue-violet sparks. The range is still limited, she explains as Elena approaches. Maybe 5 kilometers in vacuum. We'll need to deploy these units close to their command ships. How close? Elena asks. Samira's expression tightens. Suicidally close. Across the chamber, Y has modified an old mining mech into a makeshift neural immersion pod. Inside, a volunteer pilot, Lieutenant Sophia Chen, navigates a virtual simulation of Temunitu defensive formations. Her movements appear random to observers but follow Way's chaos algorithm, a flight path so unpredictable that even Way's AI cannot anticipate her next vector change. She's the best, Y informs Elena, as Lieutenant Chen's virtual ship penetrates another Temunitu defensive screen, reaching a critical target before the simulation terminates. 5 pilots washed out. Their brains couldn't override trained patterns. Sophia's different. Her neural mapping shows unusual connections between intuitive and logical processing centers. We need at least 6 qualified pilots, Elena reminds him. Wei nods toward a waiting group of candidates. 3 more show promise. The rest, their minds are too orderly. Diego enters from the converted cargo bay where he's been drilling his special forces team. Sweat darkens his shirt despite the lunar facility's cold environment. How's tactical preparation coming? Elena asks. They're unlearning everything they know, Diego replies with grim satisfaction. Traditional special forces training emphasizes economy of movement, conservation of resources, clear objectives. My team is learning to fight with deliberate inefficiency that creates unexpected opportunities. He hands Elena a tablet showing combat simulations. We've developed attacks that appear to fail spectacularly but create brief windows for critical strikes. The Temunitu won't anticipate sacrificial tactics employed with mathematical precision. Elena nods approval and moves to the central command station, where Admiral Kostova's encrypted transmission awaits. The Admiral's hologram flickers into existence, her expression grave. The Security Council is proceeding with conventional defense preparations. Kostova reports. Admiral Harrison has full authority. Your operation remains classified, designated Contingency Omega. We need more resources. Elena presses. Dr. Khan's disruptors require rare isotopes, and Wei's neural training program. You'll have what I can quietly divert, Kostova interrupts. But be aware, the Temunitu have increased surveillance. Their probes are scanning all lunar operations. As if triggered by these words, alarms blare throughout the facility. Wei rushes to the security station, fingers flying across interfaces. Temunitu probe approaching from the southern quadrant, he announces. Estimate 3 minutes until scanning range. The Lena accesses the exterior cameras, revealing a metallic ovoid gliding across the lunar surface, its surface rippling with sensor arrays. If it detects Operation Pandemonium, their element of surprise, their only advantage would be lost. Engage countermeasures, Elena orders. Dr. Khan, power down the disruptors. Wei, activate the simulation screens. The team scrambles to implement their prepared deception, holographic overlays transforming their unconventional preparations into the appearance of standard military operations. Dr. Khan's quantum disruptors disappear beneath false flooring while mining equipment rises to take their place. Shouldn't we evacuate? Samira asks, securing her prototype. No, Elena decides. A sudden exodus would trigger their suspicion. We continue working, playing the roles of conventional military personnel conducting standard preparations. The probe hovers outside the main viewport, its sensors penetrating the facility's walls. Elena feels the familiar telepathic pressure as it scans not just the base but their minds. She activates her neural damper, a device developed after first contact to shield human thoughts from Temunitu intrusion. It's comparing our activities against expected human military protocols. Wei whispers, monitoring the probe's scanning patterns. Elena deliberately reviews conventional battle strategies in her mind, knowing the probe might detect surface thoughts despite the damper. Around her, the team does the same, projecting expected military preparations while their true work remains hidden in specialized shielded compartments. Minutes stretch like hours before the probe finally moves on, continuing its methodical survey of lunar installations. That was too close, Diego mutters. Elena stares at the retreating probe. They're looking for patterns, expecting us to follow conventional military preparation. Our greatest defense is that they cannot conceive of a species that would deliberately introduce chaos into battle strategy. She turns to the team. We have 19 days left. Let's make them count. The day of the challenge dawns with an eerie red sunrise that bathes Earth in crimson light. Billions watch the skies as the Temunitu Armada moves into attack formation. Thousands of ships arranging themselves in concentric geometric patterns above the planet. Their formations resemble ancient mandalas, beautiful and terrifying in their mathematical precision. In the hardened command bunker beneath Geneva, Admiral Harrison oversees the conventional defense. Holographic displays show Earth's combined fleet, over 500 vessels of varying sizes and capabilities, positioned according to standard military doctrine. The mood is somber. Even with humanity's most advanced weapons, they appear hopelessly outmatched. All units report ready, announces Harrison's tactical officer. Defensive perimeter established around primary population centers. Harrison nods grimly. Conventional weapons are authorized. Nuclear and antimatter options require direct presidential approval. A flash of light announces the arrival of Zor Thilax's psychic projection in the center of the command floor. The Temunitu commander's chitinous form seems to absorb the room's illumination, casting elongated shadows across the bunker walls. The challenge commences, Zor Thilax announces, compound eyes surveying the human commanders with cold calculation. Your species has shown admirable preparation. 16.7% of challenged worlds surrender without resistance. You have chosen the path of honor. Harrison steps forward, face impassive. We will defend our world. As all do, Zorthilax replies. It changes nothing. The alien vanishes, and immediately alarms blare as Temunitu weapons activate. Energy beams of impossible brightness lance from their forward ships, cutting through Earth's outer defensive line. The precise 60% destruction rate, exactly as their historical records showed, unfolds with mathematical certainty. First wave impact as predicted, reports the tactical officer, voice tight. Mars Defense Group requesting orders. Harrison follows conventional doctrine, ordering a strategic withdrawal to secondary defensive positions, exactly as the Temunitu expect. On screens throughout the command center, Earth vessels execute textbook retreat maneuvers. On the lunar facility, Elena watches the initial exchange with focused intensity. The holographic battle display shows the conventional forces performing exactly as the Temunitu would predict. Pandemonium units in position, she asks. Wei nods, his fingers dancing across interfaces. All 6 Chaos pilots ready. Special Forces teams embedded within debris fields. Dr. Khan's disruptors are at optimal charge. The Temunitu are following Battle Plan Epsilon. Diego observes, studying their formation. Just like they used against the Regelian Defense League. Elena activates her secure channel to Admiral Kostova. Conventional forces are engaged as planned. Request authorization to initiate Operation Pandemonium. Kostova's response is immediate. Authorization granted. May whatever gods exist have mercy on us all. Elena takes a deep breath and transmits a single word to her scattered teams. Pandemonium. Across the battlefield, 6 small Earth vessels, previously camouflaged as debris, suddenly power up and accelerate along trajectories that no flight computer would ever calculate. Lieutenant Sophia Chen leads the Chaos pilots, her ship performing maneuvers so erratic that Temunitu targeting systems track multiple possible vectors, unable to establish a firing solution. Simultaneously, Dr. Khan activates her quantum disruptors. The devices, secretly positioned near key Temunitu command nodes by Diego's infiltration teams, pulse with blue-violet energy. The effect is subtle but immediate. Fluctuations ripple through the perfect geometric formation as the telepathic coordination field experiences quantum-level interference. On the Temunitu flagship, Zorthilax feels something unprecedented. Momentary confusion as conflicting tactical data floods his mind. The sensation is so alien that he momentarily freezes, unable to process the disruption to the perfect battle rhythm that has served the Temunitu for millennia. Secondary human vessels detected, reports a sub-commander, mandibles clicking in agitation. Their movement patterns do not conform to any known tactical doctrine. Compensate and continue battle plan. Zorthilax orders, his certainty slightly diminished. But compensation proves challenging as Sophia's Chaos pilots execute their impossible maneuvers, appearing in blind spots within the Temunitu formation, firing brief but devastating salvos before vanishing into the chaos of battle. Each pilot follows Wei's algorithm, their movements completely unpredictable yet precisely calibrated to exploit gaps in the Temunitu defense. Elena watches as confusion spreads through the alien fleet. Their perfect formation begins to show small imperfections, minor at first, then growing as they attempt to counter attacks that follow no recognizable pattern. It's working. Wei whispers, scarce believing the data before him. They're trying to identify a pattern where none exists. Now for Phase 2, Elena orders, activating her comm link to Diego's Special Forces teams. Initiate Sacrificial Gambit. Throughout the battlefield, damaged Earth vessels that the Temunitu had dismissed as neutralized suddenly accelerate toward key nodes in the alien formation. The aliens, programmed to ignore disabled opponents, react too slowly as these ships, piloted by Diego's volunteers, crash into critical junctions of their battle network. The explosions are small compared to the Temunitu's awesome weaponry, but precisely targeted to disrupt their perfect coordination. For the first time in the history of the 17-galaxy Dominion, the Temunitu battle plan falters. Wei Chen's eyes narrowed as he studies the battle analytics streaming across his displays. His enhanced neural interfaces process information faster than ordinary human perception, allowing him to detect subtle patterns in the Temunitu response to Operation Pandemonium. "They're initiating adaptation protocols," he announces. "Their ships are switching to localized command structures to compensate for the telepathic disruption." Alina moves to his station, studying the holographic representation of the battlefield. The perfect geometric formations of the Temunitu fleet have begun to fragment into smaller tactical units, each operating semi-independently as Dr. Khan's quantum disruptors continue to corrupt their hive-mind coordination. "That's unexpected," Alina admits. Historical records showed no evidence of the Temunitu employing decentralized command. "They'd never needed to before," Wei replies. "But they're learning, faster than we anticipated." On the main tactical display, Temunitu weapons find their mark against one of Sophia's Chaos pilots. The small craft erupts in a brilliant flash, its unpredictable movements finally anticipated by the adaptive alien targeting systems. "Pilot Yashin is down," reports the communications officer, voice tight. Alina feels the loss like a physical blow, but keeps her expression neutral. "The Temunitu are evolving their tactics mid-battle. We need to escalate the chaos." She activates her secure channel to Admiral Harrison's conventional forces. "This is Captain Reyes. Request implementation of contingency protocol battle." Harrison's voice carries barely restrained fury. "Your pandemonium operation has disrupted the entire battlefield, Captain. Now you want us to deliberately fragment our command structure as well." "With respect, sir, the Temunitu are adapting to our initial chaos. We need to increase entropy across the battlefield." After a tense moment, Harrison replies, "Babel protocol authorized. God help us all." Across Earth's defending fleet, command channels suddenly switch to dozens of different encryption patterns and languages. Orders are issued in Swahili, Mandarin, Hindi, Arabic, a deliberate communication chaos that makes human forces appear completely disorganized while actually following a predetermined framework. The effect on the Temunitu is immediate. Their adaptation to chaos pilots and quantum disruption had begun to stabilize their response, but the apparent collapse of human command structure introduces a new level of unpredictability they cannot process. On the Temunitu flagship, Zor Thelax experiences something unprecedented in his 10,000-year existence: tactical uncertainty. The battle that should have concluded with mathematical precision hours ago has devolved into something the Supreme Commander cannot categorize. "The humans' battle communication has fragmented," reports his chief analyst. "They appear to have lost centralized command." "Impossible," Zor Thelax hisses. "No species sacrifices command coherence during active combat." Sensor analysis confirms it. Their forces are acting independently, without coordinated strategy. Yet despite this apparent strategic suicide, human vessels continue to appear where they shouldn't be, striking vulnerable points in the Temunitu formation before vanishing into the chaos of battle. It defies all military logic, all patterns established across 17 galaxies of conquest. Zor Thelax makes an unprecedented decision. Deploy the phase disruptors. Target their planetary defense grid. His sub-commander's compound eyes reflect alarm. "Supreme Commander, the challenge protocols forbid direct planetary assault until Phase 7. "The humans have corrupted the challenge," Zor Thelax replies coldly. "They fight without honor or logic. We will restore order through overwhelming force." Back in the lunar facility, Alina watches as massive energy signatures bloom within the Temunitu fleet, weapons systems powering up that weren't part of their standard battle progression. "They're breaking protocol," Diego observes with grim satisfaction. "Your chaos strategy has pushed them beyond their comfort zone." "But at what cost?" Elena counters, gesturing to the display showing Temunitu weapons reorienting toward Earth's surface. They're targeting population centers directly. Wei's hands fly across interfaces, activating countermeasure Mirage. Across Earth's major cities, holographic projectors activate, technology developed in secret over the past month. False heat signatures and electromagnetic patterns bloom across unpopulated areas, while actual cities employ experimental cloaking systems that mask their energy signatures. The Temunitu weapons fire, planet-cracking energy beams that would obliterate millions, only to strike empty desert, abandoned industrial zones, and ocean expanses deliberately selected as decoy targets. Dr. Khan looks up from her monitoring station, face pale but determined. The quantum disruptors are reaching critical instability. We have perhaps 20 minutes before they fail completely. Elena nods, knowing they've entered the endgame. Tell Diego's remaining teams to prepare for Operation Spearhead. And contact Sophia. Her Chaos pilots will need to create the approach vector. For what? Samira asks. Elena's gaze returns to the tactical display, focusing on the Temunitu flagship at the center of their formation. The single strike that might end this. Elena stands before the assembled team in Helios Station's makeshift hangar bay. The UES Defiance, a modified scout ship barely 30 meters long, gleams under harsh lighting, its hull reinforced with experimental metamaterials. Technicians make final adjustments to the quantum inverter mounted where the ship's main sensor array once resided. The plan is simple, Elena explains, her voice steady despite the enormity of what she's proposing. The Defiance will approach the Temunitu flagship carrying Dr. Khan's quantum inverter. When deployed against their power nexus, it will reverse the energy flow throughout their quantum-entangled fleet. Simple? Diego's scared face shows rare concern. You're proposing to pilot directly into the heart of their formation, past thousands of weapons systems specifically designed to prevent exactly this approach. Not thousands. Y corrects, manipulating the holographic battle projection hovering between them. As their formation has degraded, gaps have appeared in their defensive screen. My chaos algorithm has identified 16 potential approach vectors, 15 of which end with certain destruction. Dr. Khan adds grimly. Even the 16th has only a 4% probability of success. Elena studies the projection, where a tiny blue mote representing the Defiance traces an impossible path through the Temunitu defenses, a course no rational pilot would attempt, with maneuvers that challenge the limits of human physiology. 4% is better odds than humanity had a month ago, she says quietly. Sophia Chen approaches, still wearing her flight suit from the ongoing battle. With respect, Captain, I should pilot the Defiance. I've logged more hours with Y's chaos algorithm than anyone. Your skills are needed elsewhere, Lieutenant, Elena replies. You'll lead the remaining chaos pilots in creating the diversion that makes my approach possible. Samira steps forward, holding a neural injector. This contains an experimental compound that will temporarily enhance your neural processing speed, allowing you to execute the required maneuvers. Her voice softens. The side effects include potential brain hemorrhaging after approximately 15 minutes. By then, it won't matter, Elena says, taking the injector. She turns to address the team one final time. If this fails, Admiral Harrison has authorization to deploy our remaining antimatter warheads in a last-ditch defense. And if it succeeds, Diego asks. Elena allows herself a small smile. Then humanity introduces the concept of defeat to a species that's never experienced it. 20 minutes later, Elena straps herself into the Defiance's pilot seat. The cockpit has been stripped down to essentials, with Y's chaos navigation system replacing standard controls. Outside, the battle continues to rage. Earth's forces stretched to breaking point as the Temunitu press their advantage, adapting to the human chaos strategy with increasing effectiveness. Disruptors failing in approximately 8 minutes, Dr. Khan's voice reports through her comlink. Whatever you're going to do, Captain, it needs to happen soon. Helena administers the neural enhancer, wincing as the compound burns through her veins. Almost immediately, her perception shifts, the world seeming to slow around her as her neural processing accelerates beyond normal human capacity. "Defiance launching," she reports, her voice sounding strange to her own enhanced senses. The small ship detaches from the lunar facility, initially moving in a conventional approach vector that the Temunitu defense systems immediately track. Alarms blare as targeting locks establish on her vessel, but Helena was counting on this predictable response. At the last possible moment, she engages the Chaos Drive, a modified fusion system capable of burst acceleration in unpredictable vectors. The Defiance lurches, alarms screaming as G-forces tax the inertial dampeners beyond design specifications. Helena's enhanced reflexes allow her to stay conscious as the ship executes a maneuver that would liquefy the internal organs of a normal pilot. On the tactical channel, she hears Sophia coordinating the remaining Chaos pilots. Sunburst Pattern Omega. Now, across the battlefield, the human ships execute simultaneous maneuvers, each following different yet precisely calculated chaos vectors. The effect creates what appears to be a massive system failure across the human fleet, vessels seemingly losing control and spinning randomly. The Temunitu defense systems, already strained by hours of attempting to track unpredictable movements, focus on this apparent collapse of human coordination, missing the Defiance as it slips into a debris field created by earlier combat. Helena navigates through floating wreckage, using destroyed vessels and Temunitu debris as cover. Blood trickles from her nose as the neural enhancer pushes her brain beyond safe limits, but her focus remains absolute as the tiny ship weaves an impossible path toward the massive Temunitu flagship. "Approaching thermal exhaust boundary," she reports, voice tight as the Defiance skims, so close to the alien vessel's energy dissipation system that warning indicators flash critically across her console. The ship's outer hull begins to blister under the intense heat, but this approach, so dangerous no rational species would attempt it, remains undefended. Through the viewport, Helena sees her target, a pulsing crystalline structure at the junction of the flagship's main energy conduits. The quantum nexus that powers and coordinates the entire Temunitu fleet lies just ahead, momentarily exposed as thermal vents cycle open. Preparing quantum inverter, she manages through gritted teeth, hands dancing across controls with inhuman speed as blood now flows freely from her eyes and ears. Impact in 5, 4. Helena wakes to the soft beep of medical monitors and the sensation of lunar gravity. Lighter than Earth, but still a comforting weight after the zero-G of space combat. Her vision clears slowly, revealing the makeshift medical bay of Helia Station. Dr. Khan sits nearby, dark circles under her eyes suggesting she hasn't slept in days. "Welcome back to the living," Samira says with a tired smile. "You've been unconscious for 72 hours. Helena tries to speak, finding her throat dry and raw. Samira helps her sip water before she manages to ask the only question that matters. Did it work? "See for yourself," Samira replies, activating the room's holographic display. The projection shows Earth orbit, but with a profound difference. Where the Temunitu fleet once formed a perfect geometric battle array, now their ships drift in disarray, many dark and powerless, others maintaining only minimal systems. Interspersed among them, Earth vessels coordinate recovery and containment operations with unhindered efficiency. The quantum inverter exceeded all theoretical projections, Samira explains, pride evident in her voice. When it contacted their power nexus, it didn't just disrupt their energy distribution. It completely reversed the quantum entanglement that unified their fleet. Their ships are still trying to restore basic functionality. Helena attempts to sit up, wincing as her body protests. Casualties. Samira's expression sobers. Severe. We lost 42% of our conventional forces. All but one of the Chaos pilots, 11 of Diego's 16 special operators. Helena closes her eyes briefly, absorbing the weight of those numbers, each representing lives sacrificed in humanity's desperate gambit. and the Temunitu ground forces, never deployed. Their invasion transports were linked to the same power system. Samira's eyes shine with unused tears. Elena, you did it. You found their single point of failure. 1 week later, Elena stands before the assembled United Earth Council in Geneva. Her dress uniform feels stiff and formal after weeks in flight suits and medical gowns. Through the chamber's windows, she can see the changed skyline. Several buildings damaged during the battle, but the city and humanity endures. At the center of the chamber, a delegation of Temunitu representatives waits. Their once intimidating forms now seem diminished, their posture conveying an emotion their insectoid features cannot express. Humility. Zorthilax steps forward, his movements careful in Earth's gravity. In his upper appendages, he carries an ornate crystalline object, the record of defeat, crafted specifically for this unprecedented occasion. In accordance with the ancient laws of challenge, the Temunitu commander announces, his telepathic voice subdued in the minds of all present. I, Zorthilax, acknowledge the victory of humanity. For the first time in the history of the 17-galaxy dominion, we added defeat to our records. He presents the crystal to Elena, who accepts it with appropriate solemnity. The terms of challenge are thus fulfilled. Zorthilax continues. The Temunitu dominion recognizes Earth and all human colonies as sovereign territory, exempt from conquest or interference. Furthermore, as dictated by our laws when facing a superior tactical mind, we offer reparations. President Alvarez steps forward. What reparations do you propose? Knowledge, Zorthilax replies. Access to the Temunitu database of conquered worlds. The accumulated technological and cultural knowledge of 10,000 civilizations across 17 galaxies. A murmur runs through the assembled human leaders. Such knowledge would advance humanity by millennia overnight. And in return, Elena asks, knowing there must be more. Understanding, the alien responds. We seek to comprehend how your species achieved what no other could. You fought with deliberate inefficiency, apparent irrationality, and sacrificial tactics that contradicted all established principles of warfare, yet achieved victory against overwhelming technological superiority. Elena exchanges glances with her team. Samara, Diego, and the recovering Sophia, seated among the delegates. In that moment, she understands the profound shift taking place. The Temunitu, for all their advancement, had reached an evolutionary dead end. Perfect order without innovation, conformity without creativity. Humanity's chaotic nature, long considered a weakness among more unified species, had proven to be their ultimate strength. 6 months later, Elena stands on the observation deck of the newly commissioned UES Pandemonium, Earth's first starship incorporating Temunitu technology. Beyond the transparent aluminum viewport stretches the vastness of space, no longer a barrier but a highway to the stars. Admiral Kostova joins her, gazing at the starfield. The first diplomatic mission departs next week. The Arcturus Collective has requested Earth's assistance in their negotiations with the Temunitu. They want to learn chaos theory from its masters, Elena observes with a slight smile. Word of humanity's victory has spread faster than we anticipated, Kostova continues. Species that have lived under Temunitu dominion for millennia are reevaluating everything they thought they knew about warfare, governance, even thought itself. Elena contemplates the stars. Countless worlds now suddenly accessible, some hostile, others potential allies, all changed by humanity's single unprecedented victory. We've unlocked a galaxy that operated on perfect order for millennia, she muses. Our gift to them is unpredictability. And chaos, Kostova adds. Not just chaos, Elena corrects, thinking of the team that had made victory possible, each member bringing different perspectives, backgrounds, and approaches that no single mind could have conceived. Creative chaos, the kind that leads to evolution rather than stagnation. As the Pandemonium prepares for its maiden voyage, Alina knows humanity faces not just a new chapter, but an entirely new book, their unique nature about to reshape a galaxy that had forgotten the power of thinking differently. One strike had secured one victory, but its echoes would resonate across 17 galaxies for millennia to come.